Good morning, everybody. Hey, welcome to Monday. This is the last week of March and the first week of April, and heading into this holiday Easter weekend with Good Friday coming up this week also. So, hey, I hope your week is off to a great start. Today, we're at the end of earnings season. There's just not much going on. We have one report coming in, even on the economic front. I mean, we're just at the end. There's not much there to talk about when it comes to macro stuff. I'm sure that Dave will have something up his sleeve, though, and we'll talk about that and more when Dave joins us up next. But before we do, let me just remind you that there's only one thing that you can control within your portfolio, and that's the amount of risk you have. And so if you don't know exactly what your risk number is, it's vitally important. You give us a call at 863-382-0037 to determine what your risk number is and what the risk number is of your current portfolio. Hey, Dave's coming up next. Looking forward to our conversation today. That's next.
5.7 Light FM. Say it again because I probably can't say it enough. Leave your low beams on because it's foggy outside this morning. And just because you think you can see doesn't mean we can see you, all right? Especially with the patchy stuff like we got out there right now. Please do drive carefully. 8:39, time to check in on your money and see what Wall Street's doing to your IRA and 401k this morning. On Friday, it was pretty doggone good day. There's some interesting things going on, though. Let's go downtown to Statler Financial Services. Phillip Statler's standing by on the phone. And, Phillip, I didn't get a chance to ask you whether or not you got fogged in this morning. Are you doing okay?
Hey, I made it in this morning, but I will tell you, I had to swim a little bit through the fog because it was definitely a little foggier this morning than what it has been.
I've always said you're kind of my acid test because that drive-in you make from Country Club pretty much goes through some of the foggiest parts of the county on the drive-in. We were getting fog alerts out of the Weather Service earlier this morning, and I was saying, what's wrong? There's nothing up here. Then it rolled in, and it's approaching pea soup now on our end of 27.
Yeah, it really is, and unfortunately that will not be good because people are going to drive too fast. They're not going to have their lights on, all those things that cause accidents. But hopefully we'll make it through the morning safely.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. I always preach, leave the low beams on. Even if you think you can see, somebody else might not be able to see you. Setting the table for the morning, Friday was one of those barn burner days you really like to repeat 8 or 10 times in a row. Not going to happen, but it was nice. Dow was up 453 points. Standard & Poor's up 65. NASDAQ up 161. Recovery on all of them. Dow is getting within a few inches anyway of being toward a new closing record, so that feels good. We're in relatively good shape. Then we get through the weekend and a bunch of stuff goes on, and we're looking at red ink again this morning, aren't we?
Yeah, we are, but it has improved. When I first got up this morning, it was definitely a solid red. We are seeing a little bit of improvement, and hopefully it will continue, at least on the NASDAQ.
Fingers crossed on that front. Some of the things that are driving it is a little bit of hope, just a little bit of hope on that big container ship that's stuck catty-schwanz-wise in the Suez Canal. Word is this morning on the headlines that they're seeing a little bit of progress on moving the puppy, because that's we giggle about it. I was making fun of, investigating the captain and his seeing eye dog and all of that. But, all those boxes are tying up all the other ships going through. And what's on that ship is not chopped liver. It's messing up both oil shipments and retail shipments. Folks complaining on Facebook over the weekend about all of a sudden Amazon is adding 3 or 4 days onto their shipping time. That's because, they just aren't getting the junk in to be able to ship it out.
Well, that's true, and that's affecting oil prices this morning because a lot of ships have rerouted, right? Which means it's going to take them longer to get to where they're supposed to go. But that's definitely a byproduct of what we're seeing happen because of that. But they say they've got it 80% freed up. Now, I'm not sure how long the next 20% is going to take to get it floating and then be able to reposition it so people can get by it.
Get by or get it through, one or the other. It's one of the more frustrating things you look at, that that great big ship and this one tiny little steam shovel there. I mean, that was a big piece of equipment trying to dig a hole out and be able to get some water in around the bow of that ship. But it looked like a matchbox model next to the ship, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. That is a huge boat, and it weighs an astronomical amount, so it's going to take a lot to get it to move.
Yeah, you kind of wonder whether or not that little shovel was capable of doing any good. It's kind of like cleaning the driveway with your toothbrush, everything being relative. But there is progress, and that's good news, and that's helping the international issues. Needs to be made mention without getting too far into the weeds on it. There was a lot of tizzy going on from the market columnists over the weekend. There's a bunch of brokerage firms that you say are getting margin calls, but it's prompting a bunch of major trades that dumped a whole pile of Chinese stocks over the weekend and dumped a bunch of our media stocks. CBS stock, if you own stock in that, you're not a happy camper waking up this morning. All of it's due basically to big money and margin calls, you're saying, right?
Well, that's what I'm looking at, and it's not the prime, it's not the brokerage firms that are on margin call. It's this big hedge fund, and I'll try not to butcher the name of it, but it's Archegos. And so they had some kind of margin call. Trying to get into the weeds is a little thick, but needless to say, it's put some pressure on especially some European funds. Nomura and Credit Suisse, but the fear is that it's going to come over to the United States and affect things like Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, some of the other prime brokerage units over here. And so that was putting a lot of pressure on the indexes this morning. We did see a relief from that a little later this morning, but still not sure exactly how that's going to pan out and what the ultimate effect's going to be.
Net, it kind of had a wholesale version of the Reddit effect on little stocks like GameStop, except now we're playing with bigger companies like CBS, Viacom, and the like that kind of ended up becoming subject to basically the same kind of, not manipulation, but at the very least major stock swings that we saw GameStop going through on a much smaller level off of the Reddit gang a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's right. And so, again, it is one of those things. It's hard to explain, but it's one of those things we'll have to definitely keep our eye on.
Needless to say, it boils down to the notion when a great big hedge fund needs to move a lot of money, it can make a lot of effects on a lot of other stocks as well. You did have believe it or not, one stock that actually has current quarter information for us this morning, huh?
We do. Cal-Maine, that's the big egg producer. They reported their third quarter profit of 28 cents a share, which was 8 cents ahead of expectations. Though their sales did fall a little short of what was expected. They've again benefited from strong demand for eggs as people continue to be at home. And so that's been benefited directly from them, up 3.6% this morning. That's really all we have on the earnings front, but I do want to mention this one little tidbit about Boeing. We did have Southwest Airlines announce that they have Boeing announced that Southwest has a firm order for 100 of the Boeing 737 MAX jets. So obviously Boeing's getting a little bump from that, up about 1.7%, but so is Southwest, because it means that, hey, that traffic's coming up. They need to replace some airplanes or add some. So they're up about 0.5% this morning.
That's almost kind of like issuing positive guidance, placing an order for a bunch of airplanes, isn't it?
It is. It's like put the positive news out there as much as you can.
Absolutely. Setting the table again. It's a brief morning because, well, number one, it's Monday, and number two, we aren't really getting into earnings season yet except for one stock. Yeah, on Friday, it was a big day up, 1.39% up on the Dow, 1% and 2/3 on the Standard & Poor's, and 1.25% up on NASDAQ. We have no troubles whatsoever based on Friday. Then we get to Monday. What do we do in 45 minutes before the real money gets thrown around?
Well, Dave, we still have red ink, unfortunately. We've got the Dow down a little over 0.5%. So they're kind of the biggest loser right now. The S&P 500 is down right at 0.5%, and the NASDAQ's down about 0.3%. Small cap, the Russell 2000 is down about 0.7%. So a lot of red on that side of the fence. Gold and silver is not faring much better this morning. Silver's down 1%, down below $25 an ounce. And then gold's down about 0.5%. The only up thing is the one thing you and I don't like to see going up right now, and that's oil up 0.25% from where it closed. Well, I don't know if it closed because it's up over 60. It's at $61.14 a barrel right now.
Yeah, not really good news, and a lot of that they're blaming on the choking off of shipping through the Suez Canal because a whole bunch of oil, not necessarily to us, but to elsewhere in the world, goes through the Suez.
That's right, and so that's adding time to get it here. And if you add time, it adds expense to get it here. So both those things not good.
Absolutely. World markets, by and large, the Asian rim was up, not by a ton, but up at the close early this morning. Europe is kind of a mixed bag, as Phillip mentioned, that there's a little bit of uncertainty about what's going on with shipping because the Suez Canal affects Europe even more than it does us. Mixed bag, plus or minus a little either side of the zero mark this morning, halfway through Europe's day. Phillip, it takes time to be able to look at all this stuff. We give folks the top line look, but a deep dive into a person's retirement portfolio might just save a fruitful retirement. How do I find you to get that deep dive?
You're absolutely right, Dave. They can give us a call at 863-382-0037. Catch out our website, statlerfinancial.com. Hey, we have a couple of events coming up in a couple of weeks. If you're interested, go to our website under the events tab. You can schedule and register there. And then join us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk 730.
And back here with an up-to-the-second look at things tomorrow morning, same time on Light FM. Phillip, thank you so much. We'll see you then.
All right, man. You have a great day.
Thank you. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services. Phillip Statler.
From the pitch.
Hey, folks, again, I want to thank you for joining us again this morning. We're at the tail end, like I said, of earnings season, so not a lot of earnings coming out, or macro stuff coming out. So it's just tidbits of news stuff that's causing the markets to move up and down today. Thanks for joining us. Again, stay tuned. Join us tomorrow. We look forward to speaking to you then. Have a great day. Bye now.